With all of the mysteries that we encounter in life, we also demand answers. We cannot leave loose threads, otherwise the mystery cannot be laid to rest, and we will always be left wondering. The following are 4 such mysteries that were never fully solved, and to this day, the theories as to what happened were never fully answered. Number 4. The Hollowell Incident. The Hollowell Incident is one of the biggest ever unexplained mysteries in the Midlands of Great Britain during a marching band competition in Nottinghamshire, in which hundreds of children collapsed and needed hospital treatment. It was a summer Sunday morning at a showground in Ashfield, where around 500 children from 11 marching bands were in attendance and had travelled from all over the East Midlands for the marching band competition. It was a big occasion for many of the children, and they would have been very nervous about performing. The show was scheduled to begin at 9 a.m, but by 10:30 a.m, band members began to collapse, at first in ones and twos, and then by the dozens. One witness remembers them falling like ninepins. Water companies were quick to check supplies weren't contaminated. They checked for gas leaks or possibly the effects of radio waves. They were desperate for answers. The authorities drew a blank. Fortunately, most victims made a quick recovery, and only 9 children were kept in hospital overnight. What happened made national and international news, as they were desperately looking for answers. Crop spraying suddenly became the favourite culprit, but after a brief inquiry, the official theory blamed mass hysteria as the most likely cause. But many local people were deeply suspicious of the official conclusion. Since then, many inquiries have been made when they discovered that the chemicals sprayed on the field, which were thought to have been harmless at the time, have since been banned by the government. So, is it possible that the pesticide caused other side effects such as fainting and nausea? But after discounting many of the possible external causes for this mystery illness, authorities still believe that the main culprit for the Hollowell incident was caused by mass hysteria, where medical studies suggest that the outbreaks of mass hysteria share some common characteristics. The most significant is the susceptibility of the young people in the marching bands that were tightly grouped together. The types of symptoms common during outbreaks of mass hysteria include fainting, nausea, abdominal pain, convulsions, and headaches. These are often manifestations of anxiety and hyperventilation. Another feature of mass hysteria outbreaks is their short duration. The majority lasts just a few hours, and the Hollowell incident displayed many of these characteristics. After nearly 40 years, authorities still have no definitive answer as to what caused the outbreak. Number 3. The deadly gas. Lake Nyos, located in Cameroon, West Africa, had no signs of volcanic activity, where the inhabitants had no idea that a natural disaster was to take place. It was a quiet, blue-covered, beautiful lake surrounded by small villages where the livelihood of the villagers was based on farming and raising cattle. However, on the night of the 26th of August 1986, everything changed. A small crater in the lake suddenly erupted and a large cloud of carbon dioxide formed, producing about 100,000 to 300,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide, which rose at a nearly 100 kilometres per hour and spilled over the northern tip of the lake. It descended down 2 alleys, displacing all the air and suffocating people and livestock within 25 kilometres of the lake. This disaster killed 1,700 villagers and 3,500 livestock overnight, when it suddenly released the deadly carbon dioxide, suffocating everything within 16 miles. Scientists still don't know what triggered the event. The reason for this catastrophic event has not been discovered. According to geologists, The reason might have been a landslide, a small volcanic eruption on the bed of the lake, or a small earthquake. Despite all the theories, no real reason has been found up to now. Number 2. Raining Jello. On August the 7th, 1994, in Oakville, Washington, at 3 a.m, rain began to fall, blanketing a 20 square mile area. Residents then began to note that it was not water but a strange gelatinous substance they'd never seen before. Over a period of 3 weeks, the substance would fall a total of 6 times. On the first occasion, Officer David Lacey was on patrol with a civilian friend. When he turned his windshield wipers on, they smeared it against the glass instead of washing it off. The obscured windshield forced him to pull into a gas station to try and clean it manually, after donning a pair of latex gloves for safety. He described the substance as being very mushy, almost like if you had jello in your hand. Another witness claimed the rice-sized blobs looked like hailstones, but when you touched them, they had an odd gelatinous texture. By the afternoon that day, various residents had become mysteriously and violently ill. They described having difficulty breathing, extreme vertigo, blurred vision, and an increasing sense of nausea. Another resident of the area said that everyone in town contracted a flu-like illness that lasted 2 to 3 months. Additionally, several cats and dogs that came into contact with the substance fell ill and died. Another resident collected a sample and sent it to the hospital. A lab technician examined it and found that it contained human white blood cells, but they did not contain nuclei, which is something human white blood cells do have, but couldn't identify what it was or how it came from the sky. The samples was immediately sent to the Washington State Department of Health for further study. Mike McDowell, a microbiologist at the department, noted that it was teeming with 2 species of bacteria, one of which lives in the human digestive system. Because of his findings, it was initially speculated to be human waste from an aeroplane, but Federal Aviation Administration regulations require that to be dyed blue, while the substance was perfectly clear. After almost a year, another resident mailed the sample she had stored in her freezer to a private research lab. After analysing it, a microbiologist called Tim Davis believed he saw a eukaryotic cell, a complex nucleus containing cells that are present in most living creatures. This meant that it is or had been alive. One theory as to the origins was that one of the military's naval bombing runs at sea had destroyed a school of jellyfish and sent their pieces flying into the atmosphere, where it settled in Oakville, 50 miles inland. But the distance the parts would have had to travel and the lack of any rotting smell put the theory in doubt to most residents. While the Air Force confirms that they were doing practice bombing runs over the Pacific Ocean in August 1994, they deny knowledge of this substance or any involvement in creating or dispersing it. The locals of Oakville were sceptical, as many residents noticed a daily amount of slow-moving military aircraft in the skies above their town. Some believe Oakville was the site of a military experiment designed to test a new biological weapon or to test the possible damage a biological attack on US soil could do. No samples of the substance exist today. Number 1. The odour. On the 15th of September 2007, a meteorite struck a remote part of Peru, near the village of Carancas, close to the Bolivian border and Lake Titicaca. It carved a large crater that emitted noxious odours and made villagers ill. The orange streak and loud bang were initially thought to be a plane crashing. However, when farmers went to investigate, they found a crater at least 10 metres wide and 5 metres deep, but no sign of wreckage. The soil around the hole appeared to be scorched, and there was a strange odour, claimed a local health department official. Later, the farmers complained of headaches and vomiting. Police who went to investigate the crater were also stricken with nausea, prompting authorities to dispatch a medical team. The odour was strong and affected nearby communities. There were 500 families close by who had symptoms of nausea, vomiting, digestive problems and general sickness, claimed a resident. At least 12 people were treated in addition to 7 police officers who required oxygen masks and rehydration. The farmers expressed fears for what appeared to be chunks of lead and silver around the site which could contaminate the soil. A member of the National Academy of Sciences, Modesto Montoya, told the state press agency that a fallen meteorite did not present any danger unless it hit some structure on impact. None of the meteorites that fall in Peru and make perforations of various sizes are harmful to people unless they fall in a house, he claimed. But that response does not solve the problem of why so many people became ill.